Rock Hopper here, and today we're going to explore historic and haunted Helper, Utah, and the ghost towns beyond it.
Help me, please.
I'm here with Jose and his family, and I want to tell you this whole area is haunted. And Jose here is going to tell us a little bit about that. Jose's going to tell us some real-life ghost experiences he had. But first, let me tell you about Helper, Utah, and the surrounding ghost towns. Nestled beneath sandstone and shale cliffs, the town of Helper was born from the arrival of the Denver and Rio Grande Railroad in 1881. Its name comes from the Helper locomotives that assisted trains up the steep grade of Soldier Summit. In the early 1880s, the area's first resident was Mormon Teencum Pratt and his two wives, Anne and Sarah, who eked out a living in the desert. Pratt mined coal for his personal use, but when the railroad arrived, coal mining started to become a major industry, and the town blossomed. By 1887, the railroad constructed about 30 residences in anticipation of making the fledgling town a freight terminal. Soon the town had a hotel, depot, 3 saloons, a grocery store, and a clothing store. A school was built in 1891, and by 1895, electricity lit up the town. Helper is one of the only, if not the only town in Utah not founded by Mormons. The railroad and the expanding coal industry attracted workers of 27 different nationalities, many from Eastern Europe and Asia. The businesses reflected the diverse nationalities: Jewish and Italian mercantile stores, Greek coffee houses, and Japanese fish markets. Helper became a hub as numerous coal mining camps and towns sprang up around it. Underground coal mining is gritty, dirty, dangerous work. The plentiful coal mines had their share of tragedies. Mine explosions and mine collapses killed more than 1,300 men through the years. Many of the bodies were never recovered. As there were no laws against it at the time, the mining companies weren't afraid to exploit children and use them as workers in the mines. Families often lived in shantytown shacks and did their best to endure the conditions, not only of their living experience, but also of the weather. Occasionally, more than 100 men would be killed at one time, and in one incident, 171 miners and 1 rescue worker died. It's said that due to the sudden deaths of so many, the entire region is haunted by the spirits of the deceased, still wandering and calling out amidst the ruins that are clearly visible today. When I was first driving into Helper, coming from the north, my first clue that it might be a little different than the other towns in Utah was the first church I saw was not an LDS church. It was a Catholic church. As I was driving toward downtown, I saw an 18-foot-high fiberglass statue of a coal miner right outside the library they call Big John. Let's get back to Jose and hear what happened when he encountered a ghost.
Me and my boy, we were walking up this stream right here, this road, and then down the road, me and my son were just walking normal, and then we hit the mine, the entrance of a mine, and then my boy got scared because he felt something that grabbed him, and he threw his hand out, and he looked at me really scared. So I grabbed him, and we were leaving. And then all of a sudden, I hear 2 voices.
The most famous ghost is a woman known as the White Lady. There are numerous stories regarding her, and it's said that she lost her husband and son in a mine accident. She pleaded to the mine supervisors to search for them, but to no avail. She became so distraught over the loss that she killed herself. Today, people swear that they can at times hear a woman's voice calling out amongst the ruins.
Help me, please. Please.
Or see an apparition dressed in white roaming about.
I hear two voices, a little boy and a man. So that was the mom, the dad, and the boy, the son. And I heard them saying, "Hey, you, help me, help us, help us." And so I went back, and then I kept yelling and yelling. I didn't see nobody, and I kept yelling and looking around, and I couldn't find anybody. So I just kept screaming and screaming, see if anybody heard me or anything, answered, and nobody answered. So we kept going, came down, and we heard it again, and we stopped. And I turned around and I screamed again one last time, and I didn't hear anything about that. So we just took off, and that was it. From there, we just kept going, exploring other places still around here. It's pretty scary places around here.
I spoke with a historian at the local museum to get his take on the White Lady.
There are different versions to the story. It depends on the person that's telling you. The version that I was told is that the husband had died in a mining accident, and the woman went to the mining office to get compensation for her husband's death. And since she wasn't an employee, they asked her to leave. And so at a moment of weakness, she ended up drowning her child in the local creek or river, and then she ended up hanging herself at the mining office. And then they say at night you could hear cries of a woman walking through the area, crying for her husband and crying for her lost child.
Now, did you think that was the husband and son of the White Lady?
Yes, I think that was the husband and the son, because the wife, it's always it's the White Lady. So I mean, I think it's the son and the husband that got trapped in there.
So tell us a little bit about the White Lady and how she relates to this, and then what happened to her.
Well, what I've known is that when she heard her husband and her son that happened, and so she went crazy, and she couldn't handle it anymore, and so
because they were trapped in a cave,
yeah, they
right?
were trapped in a cave, and she couldn't get in there, and they wouldn't let her. So she went crazy, and after that, she just decided to end it and killed her. I think she killed herself by drowning herself. And so that's what happened, and but since then she's been roaming around this area, so that's why a lot of people like to come over here and check it out. A lot of people like haunted things, so they like to come around and explore.
A ghost hunter crew filmed here and confirmed there was indeed much activity.
They say that one of her descendants in I think it was the late 70s, early 80s, took some dynamite up into that area and blew up the remnants of the building. And the reason why they said he did it is because he wanted to give the spirit rest.
Reputedly, the most haunted structure is the local museum. The place I was in right now, they say spirits are attracted here because of all the old stuff inside. There were plenty of bars and brothels here, and it's said that underground tunnels connected the buildings on both sides of the street in order to evade law enforcement, so that business in illegal and illicit goods and services could continue. During Prohibition, there were tales of prostitutes being killed by quiet means such as strangulation, and apparently some of these spirits also haunt the buildings in Helper. It's said that nearly every building in the town of Helper has some sort of paranormal activity taking place within it.
Not only was it mining and railroads, but there was a lot of gambling, there was a lot of prostitution. There were 5 different brothels, so this was really kind of a wild town in Utah. The last brothel actually closed in 1979 here, and the closest one was actually next door at the Carbon Hotel.
And there's more history here. Wild West outlaw Butch Cassidy and a member of his Wild Bunch stayed in Helper before they robbed the Pleasant Valley Coal Company payroll in 1897. If you're scared of ghosts, it's not for the faint of heart.
It's not for you. So if you're scared of ghosts, I wouldn't recommend this place for you.
Because there's actually been ghost hunter crews here, right?
Yes, there has been Ghost Adventures. They've came down here and they came to help her too, and yeah, they proved it. It's haunted. We lived in Helper, and there was a bar behind us, and then every day that we look back, you can see the figures sitting right there on the window, and they just smile or they just looked at you weird, and so we all go in. There's one day that me and my boy, everybody was just going to bed, and then my boy he stood up so fast, screaming so loud, bloody murder, and then there was something attacking him, and he was throwing punches at me because thinking that it was me and telling me that to leave him alone, and he was being attacked by a ghost, a demon, and so that's when I interfered to leave him alone and fought to him, so I told him to leave, and after I told him to leave, I swung at him, and I felt this energy just move away and took leave out of the house, left out of the house, and after that, he was just calm. He went back to sleep without no problem.
All right, well, that's some pretty fascinating story and kind of
Yeah.
creepy too, I think.
Oh yeah. Our hair stood up that day. Me and my boy, when we were here, our hair stood up really bad, and we felt this energy and this vibe that was trying to pull us back. And but that's why we kept looking back and see if we seen anybody else, but we didn't see nobody until we went to a certain spot that we couldn't feel it. So since then, we didn't feel it anymore. So that's why we took off.
So if you're thinking about buying a house in Helper, who you gonna call? And you said people have seen ghosts all through these old mining areas right around here, huh?
Yeah, there's a town down the road over here, and right there it's pretty haunted there. A lot of people, I mean, they get it up, but if you get permission, I'm pretty sure you'll be able to go explore there, and take a look at it, and old buildings, mining areas, and where the white lady supposedly lives over there. In that area, so she lives over there, and she comes down over here and starts and just roams around looking for the husband and the son or something.
This is Miguel, and he was just up in that big building up there,
I
and
was
something
running
interesting
all the
happened
way
to him, and he's
down
going to
my
tell you
feet.
what happened.
Please.
Somewhere right around here is where I was told the White Lady's husband and son got trapped from a cave-in. The mine entrance was around here, and the collapse killed them. There's concrete up there, which may indicate where it was. First ruins past the little gate. Let's have a look at this stuff. Looks like there was a shed there, although it could have been somebody's house. What's this? Looks like it was an old ceramic electrical conductor, huh? This looks like it was somebody's house. Solid rock walls. And behind it, well, let's go have a look at what that may have been. It looks too small to be a house for anybody, but maybe it was a chicken coop or something. I don't really know. A root cellar would probably be my guess. There were quite a few houses right around here. There's another one down there. Looks like there were 3 houses all in a row right through here. These houses were constructed with some very thick rocks. Looks like there was an old wooden pipeline. This is wood right here. You can see the caging here, the metal. And yeah, so I think that's what it was. Let's look up there for a sec. It's a little hard to see because it blends in with the landscape pretty well, but if you look right in the middle there, you'll see what appears to be what was a house. And then just up from it is what looks to be what probably was another house. This is why people came here. Coal, and lots of it. Looks like an old railroad spike right there, yep. We'll explore some more ghost towns, but first let's get back to Miguel and hear about his ghost encounter.
So when I walked up there into the building where they have coal, right when I walked in, it started raining like really bad, and then we walked out, it stopped completely, and then from there, once when I went in, my shoulders got pressed down, felt like 400-pound weights were on my shoulders, and I couldn't really move my shoulders, so we had to get out, and we couldn't breathe. It's hard to breathe.
Wow, that's some serious energy
Yeah.
going on there. Well, I'm gonna go up there and look around a little more myself and check it out.
Sounds good, just be careful.
All right, thanks, man. I'm heading up to what was apparently the mine headquarters where Miguel was, where he felt that tremendous weight on his shoulders pressing down on him. This stone structure looks amazingly intact. Let's go have a look inside, see what's in there. Okay, we'll be going in this place. I'm gonna have my arm through the camera strap securely and 2 hands on the camera because they told me these spirits have so much energy they have actually knocked cameras and cell phones right out of people's hands. It's a weird feeling knowing that I may not be entirely alone here. Be careful of that. That thing looks like it's ready to go. Slip by under here. Somebody left an old glove there. This apparently was, they told me, the mine headquarters, but I'm thinking maybe this is something else. Yeah, this is probably where they crush the ore, maybe, or I mean, not crush the ore, but crush the coal up a little bit and loaded it, perhaps. I'm not really sure on this one. Anybody have any ideas? So we're just going on back here. Obviously, a lot of people have come here. Plenty of graffiti. And looking back here, it's a big place, very large. And some sort of wheel up there. So let's go back here. Well, that looks a little ominous. Yeah, what's down in there? Can't really tell, it's pretty dark. And let's look back here. Yeah, I don't know what exactly this is, but it was built to last. Solid rock construction, metal roof. So I don't feel anything in here. Nothing so far, anyway. Yeah, some kind of railing up there. Just beams, steel beams. Okay, well, I don't see anything going on in here. Some kind of hopper there, maybe. It smells like coal in here. Let's go up this and have a look. See what we can find up here. Okay, there's a lot of coal. It's filled with coal. Oh. And yeah, just lots and lots and lots of coal. All the way to the end. Let's head on over to that structure up ahead there. All right, we are here. Let's have a look. Somebody wrote on the side, drop acid, not bombs. And a little alien figure there that somebody painted. Now, this is pretty big. Let's have a look from the other angle. Let's have a peek on in this way. So, is that some sort of furnace? I don't know, what is that thing back there? This is a large place indeed. I'm not sure exactly what it was though, but I do know the date. Right there. 1917. Enter only once. Alright then. This is down below. Well, doesn't look like there's really anything in here. Kind of has a pungent scent though. Let's have a look inside this. It looks like there's a pillow, sleeping bag, and a lawn chair. And beer cans and a pair of old jeans. Jose was telling me that nobody bothers to put a flag on the flagpole anymore because shortly after hoisting the flag they tend to rip, and he said it's not because of the wind. He attributed it to the spirits. On that sign it says yard limit, which is referring to, no doubt, the rail yard. Here's what's left of some of the old railroad line. It was a full-size train. I was told this is where they loaded the rail cars with coal. The coal would pour out of these chutes you see here into the cars. Not far from the coal loader looks to be somebody's house. Come on in. Well, that's a pretty strong looking ceiling. What is that? Wood or concrete? I'm gonna have to stand up on one of these windowsills and tap it and see if we can get a feel for what this stuff is. Oh, that's concrete for sure. And it's got pieces of wood in it on occasion. And like little stalactites growing off the ceiling here. Looking at the conductors here, it looks like this place definitely had electricity. Sounds hollow underneath here. Here's a look at that house we were just in from a distance. From the top of the coal loading structure, it's a long way down. I'm not sure what this might have been. It says on there May 10th, 04, so that's from 1904. I see a small house up there. Let's go have a look. There are old houses all over this place. I was told that this little place is haunted. So let's have a look. It's just a small place. Nothing really in here. Got some concrete over some brick. And that's it. Just a real simple little tiny house. This is the epitome of a ghost town image, don't you think? This looks like it was quite the fancy, well-constructed house. The graffiti artists have certainly made their mark here. Plenty of that to go around. Okay, Midnight Rider. Heading up this little canyon, and I think I see another, what was a house. Sure enough, they must have had some good stonemasons out here. Doesn't look like there's much in here. Huh. Well, this is different. Maybe this was like a basement or a root cellar. Don't see too many of these. An old nail. And just up from that, the remains of another structure. Just down from there, an old railroad spike. Must have been a line through here. A piece of old railroad track right there. More structures over there. I tell you, they're just everywhere around here. I'll look back at that place. Bits of glass and ceramic out here. Do you think this might have been an oil can? I'll bet this was an old Coke bottle. judging by the shape of the glass. And there's another piece right over here. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Coke bottle on that one. On closer inspection, it's definitely a Coke bottle. You can see the writing at the top there. Ruins, ruins everywhere. This has the color of a 7-Up bottle, but there are no telltale markings on it to be sure. Here's another piece, so maybe it wasn't a 7-Up bottle. Let's push this aside because I'm seeing another bottleneck here. That one I can't really tell. It's got a seam in it, so that's a telltale sign of its age. So this was probably around 1930s or 40s maybe, I don't know. I'm not a bottle expert. I was advised that at this house here they perform satanic rituals. Well, let's go check it out. Along the way, a piece of an old Clorox bottle. I was told where you see the hand is the sign of the devil worshippers. This is our house. Peace on. This doesn't look like much of a place to worship anything. This place is pretty badly deteriorated. Looks like they had phone lines here. Big sagebrush growing right in the middle of this place. An old rusted out wash tub right there. If you look closely here, you can get telltale signs of the age of the place by these pulley windows. But then you see things like that electrical outlet, which make you think that people lived here for quite some time, maybe even into the 1960s. You can find all kinds of things around here. A little shed that appears to be filled with coal. Maybe that's what they used for heating their homes in the winter here. A tiny little dump right here. Let's see what this is. Whoa. An entire intact bottle. That's cool. See some writing on there and get an idea what it was. Well, there's no writing on the main body of the bottle, but if you look at the bottom, it says HSP and has some numbers to it. So I'm not sure what this might have been. Does anybody out there know what this may have been? It certainly looks pretty old, and I'm surprised to find an intact bottle. Now we'll put you back in your little home. Okay. Maybe somebody will discover you another 50 or 100 years from now. I'm going to say that bottle wasn't super old, like early 1900s, but I will say that I think it was, judging by the top, the screw top, the metal screw top, was probably from maybe the early 1940s. Of course, I could be wrong on that, so if any of you know how old that bottle is and what was in it, please do let me know in the comments, okay? Let's have a quick peek inside here. Doesn't look like there's anything in here, and no, not really, just a lot of leaves. And a nice little window there for your view in what's a pretty small house. I just spotted something else. Looks like there's some graves over there, so let's go have a look. They look like memorials rather than grave sites for Mike and Brent Tatton. Be advised, there are a lot of signs posted in the area. Apparently people have come out here to shoot things up. It looks like there was quite a large structure here. And get some steps right here. Well, let's see where this takes us. Just into the brush. But beyond it, there's something over there. Well, this is interesting. Let's go down these stairs and see what's inside here. Huh. Well, I'm not sure what this could have been. It's solid concrete, built like a bunker. And there's the stairs we came down are right there. An old hinge right there. Must have been a window or a door or something here. So I'm not sure. Anybody have any ideas what this could have been? Looks like there might have been a chimney right there with that brick. Possibly a wood stove down here. Still got some old burlap hanging right here. I thought maybe it was some kind of old central heating, but then I looked through here and this really doesn't go anywhere. So I'm not sure what's going on here. I'll bet that was an old coffee can. On the other side of the building, you've got more stairs. And it was definitely a large structure. And now you have an apricot tree growing in the middle of it all, with no fruit. So I guess it's an apricotless tree. Not far from that large structure is what appears to be a shack built out of railroad ties, a very small shack. I could be wrong, but I don't think anybody lived in here. It's pretty tiny. And right next to it, you can see the foundation of another large structure that was probably here. Look at this, we can walk right through under here. Lots of bricks all around here. Seriously, a wiffle ball out here? Not the ancient artifacts you expect to find. Is that a wiffle golf ball? This is a small structure, but it looks very solid. Let's have a look in there, see what's going on. Looks like they had an electric line maybe coming right to here. And whatever this thing was, well, I don't know that it was a house. It's concrete and rock, and looks like metal rail right there. So it was very solidly built for sure. But again, it's not very big. It's only about maybe 12 by 12 at most, I'd say. Metal railing, all right. It feels nice and cool in here. It's about probably 8 degrees cooler in here than out there. An old electrical line of the past. We're heading up the road to see some other ruins. And along the way, more ruins. I mean, this place is just packed with ruins. We're driving up the road to find what was the house of the White Lady. I was told that this was an entirely different little town here up the road. And this is where the White Lady lived. Can you guess which one of these structures was hers? I'll tell you in a minute. But first, let's have a look around. Looks like this might have been an old railroad trestle. Or it could possibly have been an old auto bridge. Well, we'll walk across it to get to the rest of the town. We're coming up the hill to a large structure. It looks like it might have been a warehouse of some sort. There's a piece of bottle here. Maybe from the 1950s. There's just enough writing on there that somebody could probably figure out what kind of pop bottle this might have been. Thought this might have been an old paper, but no, I don't think so. Didn't expect true encounters with Taylor Swift. Maybe this is one of the places that the devil worshippers have been using. Makes me think of Dana Carvey playing the church lady on Saturday Night Live.
Could they be worshipping Satan?
Looks like this was a bin filled with coal. This looks like a well-preserved and pretty cool structure. I wouldn't mind having this as a little holiday retreat somewhere. Of course, I'd have to put some windows and a door in it first. Let's have a look inside. Come on in. It looks like somebody wanted to preserve this a bit because look at that chipboard up there. That looks pretty new. So somebody was trying to keep the elements out, I guess. Keep out the snow and rain. And yeah, it's kind of cool. There's no pipe right there. So they might have had plumbing inside here in this little place one time. Couple windows there. Nice view out here. Here's a look at the roof. I don't know if it's going to do a good job of keeping out the elements for very much longer. Cute place. Coal cart railing here. A guy said this may be the town of Murdoch, down canyon in Spring Canyon. Here's a look at how this place was constructed. You got your cable here, used as a type of rebar, and you got what looked to be mining cart rails, and then they have the wooden forms, and they poured in the concrete roof, and then you've got your block construction of the rest. Looks like a big electrical conductor. You can tell it's quite large by the size of my hand. This might have been a root cellar, or it could have been a powder house where they kept explosives. Looks like that may have been a wheel off a mining cart. There's that structure on the hill. Must have been a room with a good view. If you look up there, it says Liberty Fuel Company, 1920. The Liberty Fuel Company mine entrance. A lot of men died down in here. Coal beds can emit methane, and that can lead to explosions. And there are also cave-ins, which killed many. Many of the bodies were never recovered. A lot of lives lost in coal mine explosions and cave-ins here in Carbon County. This is a list of coal mines in Carbon County. There were a lot of them. This, I was told, was the house of the White Lady, and she can be seen, apparently, roaming around the area at night, all dressed up in white, sometimes calling out for her husband and her son. This is where she lived. It's a pretty large house. There's not really much inside that I can see. Ever so slowly crumbling away. Plants are starting to take over. We'll go in here and look at the back of the house. Got a back door here, looks to be. And maybe that was just a huge picture window there possibly. Or it could have been an entrance to a garage. That might have been the White Lady's root cellar over there. Not sure what this structure might have been. Farther up the road. Wow, look at this. This is a huge building. It looks like it may have been a hotel. Yes, indeed, this place is very large. And I'm just giving you a panoramic view here of it. There's our local tenant now. This sign warns of a coal mine fire underground. I've heard of these kinds of things, but I usually think of them as being in West Virginia or Pennsylvania. Let's have a look up a little side canyon. There's our driver. Up the road, yet more structures. Let's have a look inside and see what this one may have been. I'm seeing some kind of hooks. So maybe this was where they hung animals, you know, what they had killed and skinned to eat, possibly. It does seem a fair bit cooler in here, at least right now. In 19 days, I've worn these pair of hiking shoes out. You can see the rocks getting into the sole that's splitting. These are probably the worst, or at least one of the worst, pairs of shoes I've ever tried. Rugged Exposure. Well, the only thing rugged about these is the first name. Maybe they should be called Wimpy Exposure or Pussy Footwear. These are horribly constructed. I got them at Big 5 Sporting Goods, but had to exchange the first pair after I destroyed those in 3 weeks. I thought they were defective, didn't realize they were all built this bad. To Big 5's credit, they honored what they told me and swapped me out for a different pair. So hopefully these will last. We'll see what happens. Helper eventually became neglected and fell into disrepair. It was well on its way to becoming a ghost town. Many of the buildings were shuttered. Then, a few enterprising individuals had in mind a vision to restore the town and create an artist's colony while maintaining the authenticity of its historic buildings. Today, Helper is where history meets artistry. The town has seen a sort of renaissance. Formerly forlorn and abandoned buildings now house art galleries and other businesses. All of this to a backdrop of rail cars filled with coal headed for distant points. I met a woman named Harleys who owns this building, and it's apparently very haunted. Back in the day, it was a bar at street level, and the upstairs, as well as the basement, was a brothel. I was told that occasionally someone would kill one of the prostitutes. I spoke with a couple of Harleys' friends who slept downstairs, and they told me they clearly saw apparitions at night, describing one as puke yellow in color.
Sometime in the 20s, this was not only a hotel, but this was a boarding house, and the husband believed that his wife was having an affair, and he killed her. And since women were looked at more as a possession more than a spouse at that time frame, he was never charged with anything, and she is buried in the local cemetery in an unmarked grave. But they say on the third floor that there's a cleaning lady, is what the kids call it. They say, you know, sometimes kids will come in with their parents, and we ask them, you know, how they like the museum, and you know, a lot of times they'll say, yeah, everything was great except for the cleaning lady on the third floor. She scared me, and we don't have a cleaning lady in the building.
It looks like the cows have commandeered this ruin. It's a fairly large structure, and it's got the rock walls just like so many others around here. Some sort of table or something right there. What's this thing here? It's got some marking on there. Looks like JP. It's a heavy ceramic piece. Now I see why the cows were hanging out at this structure. You got this little pond right behind it. And just over there, looks like the entrance to a mine. Definitely looks like it was the entrance to a mine, but there's really nothing in there to explore, as it's all caved in or filled in with dirt now. It just has a really pungent scent of cow poop. Cows aren't the only thing hanging out here at the pond. You've got damselflies, water striders, and beautiful swallowtail butterflies. Near the end of a dirt road there's a grave, but it's recent. And to the side of it is an old house that had its roof collapse. Trains loaded with coal. All these cars filled with coal. This was an actual sign used by local businesses here in Carbon County. Many of the locals strongly suggested I have a look at this place, the Vintage Motor Company, because there are really cool restored and unrestored motorcycles inside, as well as some cars, all sorts of old antiques pertaining to cars and motorcycles, and to definitely have a look before I left. This is a 31 Ford right here, 57 Corvette, 36 GMC. I'm here with Gary at the Vintage Motor Company, and he's going to tell us a little bit about this place.
Yeah, I come down here 5-6 years ago and moved my shop from up north down here, and just found this little town and thought it was the right place to start over.
All right, so obviously it looks like this is your passion.
It is. It's a lot of fun, and it's pure passion now because we've actually kind of shut down the restoration work, and this is kind of more evolved into I hate to use the word museum, but more of a collection where people can just come in if they desire and walk around and hang out for a bit and, yeah, enjoy it, I hope. So.
Yeah, people refer to it, the locals anyway, as the Harley Museum.
Okay,
So,
very good.
now, if you could pick 3 bikes in here that mean the most to you, tell me which bikes those would be and why.
The 3 that I would restore, or what?
Your 3 favorite projects.
3 favorite projects?
Yeah, go ahead and show me which ones those are.
Well, to put it maybe in another way, I can tell you what my 3 favorite bikes are, which would be, I have a real soft spot for what are called knucklehead, Harley Davidson knuckleheads, and that would be this one here. So this being a 47 knuckle, just all original. So I'll give you a little bit of backstory. Let me show you this one here. This is a 1947 also that's been restored. So you can kind of see the difference, you know, just in the finish work, but hard to believe they're the exact same bike, same year, all that. One restored, one unrestored. This was the last bike that I had ever restored. And unfortunately, well, maybe I shouldn't say unfortunately, because everything happens for a reason, but my taste somewhat shifted after this bike. So when this bike was completed, I felt like I had hit, in my mind, the pinnacle of what I do and what I've done my whole life. As bikes were rolling in that condition, my taste shifted to, I love this just the way it is, and I found it sacrilege to tear it apart and restore it. So I basically shut down my own business. You know, so as my customers would come in that I had been dealing with for 20, 30 years, I would, out of good conscience and faith, I had to say, I think you're making a huge mistake having me restore a bike like that. Trust me, just put it away, forget about it, and you will see that I'm right, that the value of that will far increase one that's been restored. So, and I get it, I love things perfect and perfected and all that, but it's just two different things. So it's kind of nice to have one of each per se, so you can soothe that itch with something that's all shiny and perfect, and then you can soothe that itch with something that somebody rode for 100 years and never touched. So my passion now really lies in this stuff. As like this police bike, this is all original, never been touched, straight out of New Jersey. As for a couple more favorite bikes, I don't know if I could say this is my favorite, but I think it's interesting, so I'll show it to you. This old Indian right here, not that I would say this isn't my favorite, but I would say it's got quite the story. I just recently found this in a barn, local, which is always fun and exciting. And I've been sitting in the barn 50, 60 years. And to find that it was literally right up the street was amazing. So that was exciting. That's probably one of the latest finds. And once again, you know, moving to this little town and finding something like that in a barn was just super exciting. And then I would say up here, so they're not too redundant, I would have to say stuff like this is kind of my favorite too. Once again, unrestored. This was a dealership, by Harley dealership in Hollywood, California. So this was their shop bike back in 1934, which is very cool. And I think Harley Davidson of Hollywood is still in business. So that's a cool piece of history on that one. And then this one here, you know, you can never pass up the military bike, so we're gonna move into 4 units, but I really love this. Very interesting story on this bike. So if you zoom in here, this is a picture of my dad back in the day. This was taken at Pearl Harbor right before it was attacked. So that's a picture of my dad and his bike. So he was military police, rode these throughout his career in the military. And where he was stationed is where I found this bike. And maybe half a dozen others with it that were all ridden through the war together. And I purchased all of them. Unfortunately, I sold all but this one. And to clarify that, I actually did sell this, and a year or two later I regretted it, contacted the owner and bought it back and just said, whatever you gotta have, I gotta have it back. And we worked out a deal. And then back to kind of my favorite type stuff, it would have to wind up with this one. This is just a good running, all original 47 knucklehead. That I'd probably say is probably my favorite one. So, yeah. But yeah, now everything's just housed in here, and once again, it's just kind of here for the public to come in and enjoy if they like motorcycles. And I'm starting to find that even if you don't like motorcycles, you wind up liking them when you leave. So it's kind of fun.
Cool old movie theater with neon lights overhead. And look what's now playing. These are some cool old funky films. The Black Scorpion, Viking Women and the Sea Serpent, The Astounding She-Monster, The Spider, It Must Eat You to Live, How to Make a Monster, otherwise known as Meeting Your Mother-in-Law. Was anybody else out there a teenage Frankenstein? Okay, so they're not really playing any of these movies. But there is some cool stuff inside this old theater, I've been told. Make no bones about it. I bet this guy has a few skeletons in his closet. I'm here with Nancy and Dave. They're summer residents of Helper, and Nancy's going to tell us a little bit about the town.
Helper, Utah was founded by the railroad companies because there were probably up to 20 different coal mining towns in this area, and this was the town where they would come to the grocery stores or the barber shops or all the businesses that were here. But over the years, the town had become basically abandoned and sort of dilapidated, and about 20 years ago, 1999, more than 20 years, some artists discovered the town and thought it would be a great artist community. So there were some artists who purchased buildings here and started art schools and their art studios, and it has over the years become a thriving arts community.
So what is it that attracted you most to this town?
We originally came here because of the art. We heard about it through another art gallery. But when we got here, we fell in love with the town itself. There's something about this town that makes me feel like it's Mayberry. The police station looks like Mayberry, and a lot of the buildings were built either prior to the Depression or during the Depression as WPA buildings, and they all still exist, and they're all still in use. And I'm passionate about historic architecture, and so that was one of the things that I really loved. I think what followed that was the friendliness of the people, and coincidentally the name Helper really does fit the people here because they're all so friendly and helpful. We also fell in love with the surrounding community, exploring the old ghost towns that were coal mining towns. The weather it's cooler than Tucson, Arizona, where we're from. In the day, the nights are cool, we get afternoon rains, so the weather appealed to us. The music scene, they have twice a month music concerts here, once a month concerts over in a small town close to here called Price. So we just love the whole arts and cultural aspect of it.
And you love the authenticity of the buildings and the way they're
The
working with that.
authenticity of the buildings is probably my favorite thing. Just the auditorium was built in the 30s. The post office is is the original post office, and it has one of the original WPA, which is Works Progress Administration murals, and there aren't a lot of those that still exist in this country. So I was taken by that as well. And there were 3 or 4 different artists who came in and bought up quite a few of the buildings. They've renovated them, opened new businesses, opened restaurants. There's just a certain creative energy in this town that my husband and I love, and I think that's what brought us back. Last summer we were here for 6 weeks, and this summer we're here for 4 months.
Yeah, I like it.
Dave's a man of few words. There's even a little swing bridge here you can walk across. Go across the Price River down below. Yeah, it's a bit bouncy. If you're interested in looking at old coal mining equipment, there's a park downtown that displays a lot of it. That looks like a nightmare, like something out of the Terminator. They're having a sale here in Helper. You never know what you might find. What do you think? Or do you like these on me better? Say what? Oh. Don't you wish the price per gallon was still 31 cents? Or premium for 38? If you go just beyond Helper, life continues much the same way as it has for 100 years. Men still working in the remaining mines, living in humble homes with their families. Seems a bit of a contradiction. Here you've got a coal mine fire, and over here you've got a sign saying, "No fires." That's true, I do go a lot of places. In my case, I followed the road. So if you come to this place where history meets artistry and hummingbirds get nectar from petunias planted in pots downtown, don't be surprised if you meet some friendly people here. Or maybe even a friendly cat. You got 2 different colored eyes, yes you do. Yeah? Whoa. Just like Dave, you might find that you come to like Helper, and maybe even that
It likes you.
we might as well make this sign a little more interesting. So if you're in the area, come and have a gander. Have a look. You might find that you like it. You might even be falling in love with it. You may have a chance to take an art class, such as when this Argentinian woman came over to teach weaving. You can get a square meal and maybe even a square deal right here in Helper. You might find the end of the rainbow here, but whatever you do, I hope you have a blast. A place that almost became a ghost town, but instead is a town filled with ghosts. It's my sincere hope that the residents hold fast to their integrity to maintain the authenticity and laid-back charm of this place, and as it gets discovered, they don't sell out and allow it to become just another trinket and t-shirt tourist trap like so many once cute and quaint towns in America have become. It's the authenticity of a small town lost in time that makes it so unique. When you come to the ghost towns outside of historic Helper, Utah, keep in mind, some things may be real and some things could be an illusion. They say we're all just spirits in the material world. You might find the portal to another dimension. Nothing too crazy happened while I was filming. I didn't have anybody tap me on the shoulder. I didn't have any 400-pound weight on my shoulder. I didn't have any voices speak to me or anything like that. Nothing got in front of the camera or nothing tried to knock the camera out of my hands. Isn't that just like life, though? You can't find something when you're looking for it, whether it's your cell phone, car keys, or in this case, ghosts. But you never know out here. I'm pretty convinced there are ghosts out here somewhere, apparitions maybe at night, wandering around, and you know, there could be that voice of the white lady calling. And those two people, her son and husband, yelling, "Help! Help us!" I could be an apparition. You never know what's real and what's on the other side. If you come out here, keep that in mind. Don't forget to give me a like on the video, subscribe, and share. Until next time, this is Rockhopper. I'll see ya.